Stanton was hoping he could make a 4-moto sweep to end the series with the title. He spent the last 3 weeks
better because once LaRocco got fired up, Stanton found the racetrack a little tough to get hold of. And Larry, it all boiled down to a 2-man shootout that I think provided some of the best excitement we've ever seen at Unadilla.
Would you believe, after you watch this footage, I want you to give me this answer, the footage that's coming up, would you believe these two guys are really good friends? They continue to struggle from that point. There's Stanton almost kissing the ground one more time. Here's the action. Look at this, Dave. Wham! He just kind of knocked LaRocco out of the way. LaRocco tried to retaliate, but no go. Now they're looking at 2 separate lines. It was just unbelievable. And I say again, would you believe they were friends?
Stanton held on to win a thriller. This year, look for Mike Kudrowski to take LaRocco's place as the primary challenger here at Unadilla. So get set for the action as Speed World brings you the United States Grand Prix, brought to you by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
Drop by your Dodge dealer and you can pick up $500 cash back on any new Dodge Dakota in stock. Dakota Club cabs are also available with a 4-speed automatic and air conditioning at no extra charge. And even all dressed up Dakota Sports now drop under 10 grand. It's the National Dodge Truck Sale. Now arriving at a Dodge dealer near you.
Start a project with Minwax Wood Finish and turn new into treasured, ordinary into extraordinary, even pine into cherry. Because Minwax Wood Finish makes it easy to turn any project into a beautiful masterpiece. Minwax makes wood beautiful.
Yo, guys, this is Yogi.
You can't top, no, the Pringles pop. The taste is top.
Pringles? I haven't tried them in years.
Pringles taste better than these bag chips. Check it out, yo.
I'll believe it when I believe it.
So?
I believe it. They taste better.
Yeah. Observe. Bag chips feel greasy.
Grease don't taste good. Taste tastes good.
Yeah!
Can't stop.
One name that's always on the job, Arrow. The Arrow T50 staple gun for insulation and 1,001 household uses. The hot melt glue gun with automatic lever feed for home repairs and arts and crafts. T50 staple gun, hot melt glue gun. Arrow, you'll grow attached.
This election year, the Iowa caucus was held in North Dakota at Jenny's Cafe. The California primary was held on a farm in New Jersey. And Bud Monroe hosted the Democratic National Convention at his barbershop. Wherever you live, your local cable company is bringing the most extensive election coverage in history to your town. So you'll be better prepared to vote for the next president, who will be sworn in January 20th at the home of Charles and Nellie Sparks.
Maybe you ought to make one of them cream pies, Nellie.
Jeff Stanton will carry number 14 in his quest for a 3rd straight Unadilla victory. For more on the guys he'll race, let's go back trackside to Art Eckman.
Dave, we're looking at 3 distinct groups of riders here today. First of all, of course, the American superstars, and then the GP riders in title contention. The 3rd contingent, of course, are those riders who are here just because this is Unadilla with its traditions and fantastic competition. We've met Jeff Stanton before in our show. Let's now turn and listen to some of his competitors.
Well, Unadilla means a lot to me. You know, I've been here quite a few years, since '89, and I've won a few 125, support classes here and stuff like that. And, I've won 2 national championships here, and I've lost one by 1 point.
We come here and we're just after the points, and the championship means so much now. We're getting down to the last 4 races, and points really is going to be the main factor. There's 2 really fast Americans here, and it'd be great to win this race. If there's a world champion event I would want to win, it'd be here in Unadilla.
It's probably the best track of the year we get to race on. It's really technical. It's rough. It's kind of an in-between of sand and like peat, so it's really nice to ride on.
Dangerous might be a more appropriate word. Earlier today, the World Championship points leader, Donnie Schmidt, in timed practice fell victim to a high-speed crash. He went flying off his bike on a whooped-out uphill. All he could think about then was getting checked out and back to the track.
Can you move both hands?
Gotta be back by 12:30.
Everything else.
Well, I don't think so. It's a half-hour ride to the hospital.
It looks like Donnie Schmidt will have problems protecting that points lead. The question is, Dave and Larry, will he be in the condition to ride if he gets back in time for Moto number 1?
The crash for Donnie Schmidt and concerns about his welfare, certainly a headline story here at Unadilla, and also, I think, a measure of how tough this racetrack really is.
Yeah, on a degree of difficulty scale, 1 to 10, Unadilla is definitely a 10. It's one of the longest tracks in the country, severe elevation changes, and the lines change around this racetrack every lap. You never know what you're going to hit.
Let's take a look at the circuit on which the Usgp will be contested.
The general layout looks like this: 2 minutes and 20 seconds to a lap, 2 minutes and 20 seconds worth of bike-busting obstacles with names like Gravity Cavity. Nobody knows the place better than Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Unadilla has its rough sections, but I think I'm standing in one of its worst. We have a long 4th gear straightaway, very rough, coming into a right-hander, and then immediately comes up a hill with some whoop-de-doos as big as the machines themselves. A rider has to be constantly thinking that the line he took last lap may not be the line he wants to take this lap. One mistake here spells disaster.
Thank you, Bob Hanna. At the gate, the field coming set. Number 1 is the reigning world champion. He's a Native American from Louisiana. He now lives in Italy. His name is Trampas Parker, and he comes here today for his one opportunity this year to race in GP competition in front of the American fans. But I got to tell you, Larry, the Americans, I think, have come here to see Trampas and the rest of these GP campaigners get beat.
I have to think you're right, Dave. It's been a tradition at Unadilla. The Americans, the top Americans, that is, will go out and do battle with the Euros. They're out there busting themselves up, going as hard as they can, where the Euros, you know, they still have a series to decide. And the European riders have a tendency maybe to slack off just a bit.
We're set for the drop of the gate, and the first moto is underway at Unadilla. The burst of 3, the charge to turn number 1, and into the lead goes the Suzuki of Massimiliano Gazzarada. He's got a hole shot. He's put the best in the world behind him. Quickly moving into second spot is Peter Ivan of Belgium, and the Americans are stuck back in the traffic jam. Trying to make a move from third spot is Marnique Berveau, the Belgian rider. So, Larry, no Europeans slacking off here in the early running. They've got a great start, including this guy that nobody's ever heard of at Unadilla.
No one is right. I would have to think this is probably the first time in his life he has ever led a Grand Prix. Pressure could be a factor as he takes it easy coming up out of that gravity cavity uplifting experience, I guess we could call that, Dave. And now he has been passed for the number 1 position.
Peter Ivans Kawasaki takes over the lead, but Gazzarada's a game Italian. He comes right back at him in the battle for second, but now Berveau is the man on the move. Marnique Berveau, a veteran of the 125 class, moving to the 250 division, closing in on the leader, Ivan, and falling back to third spot is Gazzarada, who had the early lead. Way back in the traffic is Jeff Stanton. He's got catching up to do as Peter Ivan of Belgium takes command, and Gazzarada's on the ground.
So Gazzarada, the early hole shot artist, takes an early soil sample here at Unadilla. Watch him. He's just in over his head. He knew he was going to crash. He kind of slid it into that corner. He was looking, Dave, for some soft grass to land on. Picked out a good spot.
Well, he did indeed, and so it's all Belgians up front. Peter Ivan on the Kawasaki has the lead. Marnique Berveau on the Yamaha is in pursuit, looking for a different line and a way to get around the challenger. Now, Berveau came into the race tied for 6th in the points. I think the key issue here is the situation with Donnie Schmidt, who was injured in practice. The world point leader's out of the race for the moment.
Yeah, he is indeed. Berveau stands to gain, as do the rest of the riders in the top 10. Now, if Schmidt is injured seriously and misses all of the races today, Dave, he's going to lose a pile of points. There are 60 points up for grab. He actually could lose the points race. So the key is how many of these top 10 riders can move up on Schmidt and make a challenge. And look, Berveau, he just kind of wheelied away from Ivan, and it looks to me like he's got this race well in hand at this point, and he'll break that tie for 6th place.
Keep in mind that while they name an overall victor for the day, it is individual points in each championship moto. Berveau, the leader. We'll be back with more after this. Bobby Moore, one of those Bobby Moore, one of those expatriate Americans who races the World Championship Series full-time And the man in his mirrors is number 14, Jeff Stanton, who came from 10th in this moto to contend now for 5th spot. And I got to think Bobby Moore is feeling some pretty serious heat.
Yeah, I'm certain he is. But go back 2 years ago, Bobby Moore was a factor in the 125cc World Championship. He figured right down into the final races, actually finished second in the title chase. And now he's taking the taste of the 250 class up there with the big boys. And he's got the biggest of the big right behind him, Jeff Stanton. And if you look on the inside, we had a glimpse of Kedrowski. Stanton started 10th, and there's Kedrowski on the green motorcycle, the Kawasaki. He was 14th, so they have worked their way through this pack, Dave.
Stanton and Kedrowski ride full-time in the U.S. Bobby Moore races in America perhaps once or twice early in the year, and then once during the championship season here at Unadilla at the GP. Stanton takes advantage of the Moore bobble and zips into 5th spot. He is headed for the front. Look at Kedrowski. He's going to try to get them both on the outside, up and around, and takes over the good line and ducks right in behind Stanton. And so the two American stars of Supercross and national competition have moved up to 5th and 6th, and they'll set their sights on the rest of the Europeans up front.
Keep in mind again, the Europeans are going for the World Championship points, Dave. The Americans that we're watching, Mike Kedrowski, Jeff Stanton, are here on a lark, if you will. They want to do as good as they can. They want to show the Europeans they're the best, but they want to stay out of the way. Now, he could have passed Moore earlier, I think. It would have taken, though, a rough and tumble move. They don't want to do that. They want to avoid all of the confrontations. They're going to beat each other up as hard as they can, but they'll try to stay away from knocking the European around.
Now, in the old days of American motocross, the Europeans used to come over here and show us how it's done. And for an American to finish in the top 10 in a GP was unbelievable. Brad Lackey changed all that. He became the first American to win the World Championship, and now slowly, through evolution, the Americans have emerged as the world stars of motocross to the extent that most of them don't even go contest the World Championship.
Let's give a call to another American rider. That same year that Lackey won the 500cc world title, Dan Laporte became the first American to win the 250cc World Championship.
Now check this out. Kedrowski makes a move on Stanton, and what a move. Motocross Mike is into 5th spot, and Stanton falls to 6th, and I think that one is definitely worth another look.
Here they come now. Kedrowski is just breathing down the jersey of Jeff Stanton. Stanton knows he's there. I think he's kind of riding the course right now and not too worried about Kedrowski, and that was a shocker when Kedrowski just got the drive and shot to the inside on that big fall-away downhill.
I guarantee you he'll worry about Kedrowski now. One quick final note about that World Championship situation. These guys can now make more money racing in America than they can overseas. An update on Donnie Schmidt. He's out of the hospital. He's back at the track. Here's Art Ekman.
To show you the desire of Donnie Schmidt, he did not get back from the hospital in time to make the start, but he jumped on a bike anyway. And right about this point here, a few moments ago, race officials took him off the track in this first moto.
Rider number 75, Schmidt, the current points leader.
It's legal that you can, or used to be anyways, that you could ride it. You know, it's just like if you're late for a race. But what happened was they filled a spot on the line, which was mine. So there's already 40 guys on the track, and they couldn't let me out there. So I agree with that.
Can you tell he's from Minnesota? You bet you can. He is the World Championship point leader, and he is out of the first of 3 point-paying races today, but he can come back and run the next 2 races. This is the battle for third. Kedrowski is the man on the move. He zings past Mike Healy, another American, and takes over 3rd spot. That will drop Healy to 4th, and closing in on this battle is Jeff Stanton in 5th. So the top 2 spots are held by the Belgian Marnique Verveau and the Brit Rob Herring, and now here is 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and it's 3 Americans, and I guess the unknown guy here is Mike Healy.
Yeah, Mike Healy finished a 2nd in the World Championships 1 year ago, evidenced by the number 2 on the front of his Suzuki, Dave. He's not been a factor this year. He's had some bad luck throughout the season, and he's over here now just picking up whatever points he can, I suspect, looking for sponsorship for future years.
Kedrowski on the charge, and Healy now falls into the clutches of Jeff Stanton. They are battling for 3rd and 4th. Is it an overstatement to say that there's a little bad blood between these 2 guys?
Just a little bit. Jeff Stanton made some statements last year, or alluded to the fact that most of the Europeans that were, or most of the Americans rather, that went to Europe couldn't cut it over here in America. Now, I think Stanton was a little off base there, but anyhow, he said it, and Stanton says what he thinks. Healy took offense, and they almost came to blows. There's a lot of bad blood between these two guys.
Healy definitely thought he was off base, no doubt about that. But Stanton makes a valid point, and that is that the American kids who get the big buck contracts, as we alluded to earlier, stay in this country. They ride the Nationals and the Supercross. The guys who go to Europe typically don't have those big buck contracts. Stanton shows why. He is the big gun in American motocross. Took his time, picked his spot, made the easy pass.
He wanted to avoid conflict with Healy. I think that he did exactly the right thing. Exception to that rule we were talking about would have to be Donnie Schmidt. Donnie Schmidt would be racing with the top Americans. There's no question in my mind. He is loaded with talent.
Schmidt is a very, very talented campaigner, and it would seem logical to assume that he'll be back for the start of the second moto. The rules caught him out here in the first moto. They had already replaced him with an alternate. We go back and pick up the action as we look at Rob Herring, number 19, under attack from Mike Kedrowski. Kedrowski has come from 14th spot and looks like he's ready to be the class of this moto.
Difference in the styles between the Europeans as Kedrowski makes the pass and the American riders. The Americans, Dave, they run 100% flat out. The Europeans have a tendency to pick their places on the racetrack. They don't run 100%, I don't think, at all times. They realize they've got 3 motos to go. They got a long season, and they kind of play it that way. Americans, we run much shorter series. So an American rider has to get it done today. He has to get it done now, and it shows in their riding style.
And I think also the influence of Supercross. These American kids ride Supercross, which is so intense for 20 laps. We'll be back to see who wins the first moto right after this.
This ESPN program is brought to you by Anheuser-Busch, who proudly brings you Family Talk. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.
Drop into a Dodge dealer now, and you can get a Ram 150 pickup with over $2,600 in package savings, plus $1,500 cash back. Or get a Cummins diesel and get $500 cash back. $500. That's something Dodge hardly ever drops on diesel pickups. It's the National Dodge Truck Sale. Now arriving at a Dodge dealer near you.
Good times with friends, hey, they're special. Sometimes you wish they would never end. The care you show is just as special. Friends know when to say when.
The family of Budweiser beers is proud of all the friendships they've helped make. So when they remind you to please use a designated driver, it's all in the name of friendship.
Friends know when to say when.
We're back at the Dodge 250 Usgp. You're watching the race for 3rd and 4th. Number 19 is Rob Herring. Number 14 is Jeff Stanton, a Brit and an American, having at it for 3rd and 4th. A couple of things we need to point out. Up front, Marnique Berveau, 10 seconds away. Not worth watching because he's running around all by himself. We should point out, however, that Peter Ivan has dropped back from 2nd spot and is no longer a factor in the race. Mike Kedrowski has taken over 2nd, and this is the race for 3rd, and it's a good one, and I'll put my money on Stanton.
I think you have to. It's too late to look at it now, but Stanton come down that big downhill, and he was almost off the motorcycle. Typical American style. He just kept it dialed on. Herring wants to come back. He wants to come back desperately. It's not going to happen. Stanton has got that spot all his.
Herring also knows that the points that Stanton takes from him will not matter because Stanton won't be around after this. Herring would like to have those points. He's just inside the top 10 in the series standings, but it's not worth taking the kind of chance Stanton took down that downhill. Jeff is racing for pride. He doesn't want to let Kedrowski get away. Kedrowski's the man that number 14 is worried about.
Indeed, and Kedrowski is immediately in front of Stanton. Oh, and Kedrowski is down on the ground. Mike Kedrowski on the ground. Stanton makes the pass, and he has now moved into 2nd place.
He will set his sights next on Marnique Berveau, and I think we'll go back and take another quick look at what happened to Mike Kedrowski.
Oh, we don't have it, but, boy, that's a rutted corner there. Kedrowski's not separated too far from the bike. My guess is he just got tangled in the ruts, Dave, tipped over. It was not a hard crash. Kedrowski is up and running again. Out of this one, though.
Overhead, we see dark clouds beginning to gather above Unadilla, and I have a message for Marnique Berveau. There is trouble coming, Marnique, and it is not in the form of rain. Jeff Stanton is coming after you. Look here, Kedrowski is back on his wheels, as you said, and in a battle for third. Herring runs wide, gets her sideways, and right back into that position goes number 76, Mike Kedrowski. He didn't waste any time once he got off the ground.
He's got to say, what's going on here? I've been passed by Stanton. I've been passed by Kedrowski twice. What's hitting me?
Where are these guys coming from, anyway? Berveau had a 10-second lead. Stanton has turned up the wick and is going after the leader, Marnique Berveau of Belgium, out front. The American fans cheering as Jeff Stanton and Mike Kedrowski try to run down the interloper from overseas. See the hats waving in the background? Guarantee you they're not waving them for this guy.
I promise you two things. One, Berveau can hear that crowd and he knows Stanton's coming. And I'll promise you another thing. Earlier, maybe 2 laps ago, Berveau had this one counted, had it in his pocket. No more. He's got company.
You don't think he believes that the Belgian bus just arrived and those people are all cheering for him then?
I don't think so. They are going nuts here at Unadilla cheering for Jeff Stanton. And there he is into the picture. That's the point, or that's the gap between the 2 riders, and they have whittled that down. Stanton has from what was once a 10-second lead.
You don't need a watch to time it anymore. It is measured in bike lengths on the racetrack as Marnique Berveau, who has led this race from lap 2, is suddenly under heavy fire in the late laps, and Stanton has timed it perfectly. Keep in mind there are 3 races today. This is just the first of those 3, and so Berveau must make a decision whether to save his energy knowing it's a long afternoon or try to make the charge and keep Stanton at bay. He wants maximum points.
He does, but if I'm Berveau and I'm thinking clearly and Stanton is going to continue that charge, I'm going to let him pass me. I'm going to take the second place and not even contest this whole thing. However, how many times have we said it? A racer is a racer. You don't think along those lines when you're on the racetrack. Berveau knows he's going to win this moto.
Larry, time is on his side. They are into the final lap. If Stanton's going to make the charge pay off, he's going to have to do it in a hurry. Time is running out as Marnique Berveau of Belgium streaks toward the checkered flag. See him looking back over his shoulder. He wants to know where he is.
Corners left. He's just got to hold her in and whoa, no!
He should have never looked back.
Oh, boy. Your heart's got to go out to the guy. That was just a plain, stupid error. He got into that pile of soft dirt. He was thinking, and Stanton waving at the crowd as he comes out. He was thinking, is he going to catch me? Can I hold on? What a shame.
Hey, he panicked. He panicked. He looked back. He saw the Stanton Freight Train coming. He freaked out and ran it off the racetrack. Stanton deserves to win it, and he does. Jeff Stanton takes the checkered flag a couple corners from home. Marnique Berveau let it all get away from him. Kedrowski takes 3rd. Rob Herring 4th. Trampas Parker 5th. And here's a look at the rest of the top 10 as we go trackside and hear from Bob Hanna and the winner.
Jeffrey, it took you a while to do it, but you got up there and got into the lead. Did you think you were going to do it from the start?
Well, from the start, I didn't quite know. I started out terrible. I started out real slow, and I guess I just didn't warm up enough, and now I'm warmed up and ready for the next 2.
This short moto system hurt you out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's got to race the same thing, but everybody knows I'm a slow starter, so I'll just get them at the end.
You'll be warmed up for the next 2?
Warmed up for the next 2 and ready.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Go back and take a quick look at how Marnique Berveau, the Belgian they call Smokey, let it all get away. Just a couple of corners from home. He's saying, doggone, I shouldn't have done that. Stanton saying, thank you very much. Let's go to Art Ekman.
Smokey, what happened on that last part of the race?
I thought Stanton was just behind me, and I took too much front brake and I crashed. Stupid, but that's motocross.
It was a fine race.
Yeah, it was good. And it's after too long riding on the first place, and that makes you so nervous. It's unbelievable.
So a frustrated Marnique Berveau surrenders the victory in the first moto. The men who battled for the World Championship, men like Rob Herring, consider their fate here on American soil. And the one lesson that these guys have learned for the second moto is watch out for Jeff Stanton. The fans are loving it. We'll be back with more of the action at the Dodge United States Grand Prix right after this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Shot to the heart.
This is a game like no other. It's a game that never stops rocking.
Sometimes love don't feel like it should. Hurts so good, rockin'.
And you can rock
Rock right along with pro football's best in this incredible new video, NFL Rocks. It's free with your paid subscription to Sports Illustrated. The best way to get to the heart of sports every week. Rock and roll, baby, rock and roll! Your free video is a game. It's a concert. It's a high-flying 44 minutes filled with unforgettable NFL action set to the music of some of rock's top artists, including Elton John, Bon Jovi, and John Mellencamp. Call this toll-free number now and let Sports Illustrated and NFL Films take you on a musical trip you'll never forget.
Stop the clock!
Sit down and enjoy the halftime show or stand up and shout. You can sing along, you can rock along, but don't miss a lick of one of the all-time great performances, an electrifying show of sight and sound that you'll enjoy again and again. It's all free from Sports Illustrated.
Let me get the rhythm, all right?
Get your free video and 54 issues of Sports Illustrated for only $1.29 an issue. Save over 55% off the cover price. The free video and a year of SI make great gifts for the sports fans on your Christmas list. Call now to subscribe or renew or give SI as a gift and get this great video free. For quicker delivery, use your credit card. Call now and enjoy the thrills of the NFL set to the music of the ages. And the nation's #1 sports weekly, Sports Illustrated. Call now.
Having trouble finding Speed Week for the month of October? Catch us every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Speed Week, the motorsports coverage you deserve.
You've got the need for Speed Week. Back at the Usgp Motocross, first moto winner Jeff Stanton preparing for the second leg with his mechanic Danny Bentley. And down in the opposition pits of the Kawasaki team, the man who fell and finished third in the first leg, Mike Kudrowski, gets ready for action. Let's go trackside with Bob Hanna.
You can tell motocross has gone big time. For the last couple of years, motocross riders have had their own trading cards. Red and Bad are the folks behind the High Flyer motocross trading cards. And just like in football or baseball, you'll find them in complete sets as well as packs of 12. All the stars from the U.S. and Europe have their own cards. Even though I'm not riding, I've got my own card. And look at this, Dave. World's famous announcer, Larry Myers.
Why would I want to look at that, Hannah? What does that have to do with me? Let's get back to the action here. We should tell you that while Hannah was off doing gratuitous plugs for the booth talent, that it has rained here at Unadilla. Between motos, they had a heavy shower. The track is slick and muddy as we go to the second leg. And what does the world's greatest motocross announcer predict here for moto number 2?
Oh, boy. Hard to tell who's going to have the advantage here. Europeans ride in more mud than Americans. Dave, let's wait and see.
They are underway. There you see the mud spraying off the rear wheels. The rooster tail into turn 1. Oh, it's slick, and we got trouble. Big pileup in the right-hander. Stanton, number 14, was involved but escaped.
Oh, I can see some pretty heavy hitters in there. Bobby Moore, Puzar, he's a former world champ. There's Herring is tied up in that thing. And Donnie Schmidt. Donnie Schmidt, good heavens.
What a break for Bader Manet. He has grabbed the early lead. Now, Bader is an American, but he's riding on an Italian license. Trampas Parker is into second spot, and Edwin Evertson will be third through the early running. Going to take about a half a lap for these guys to be completely obliterated with mud, but it's slippery out there.
The real break goes to Trampas Parker, who we had a quick look at. Trampas is running up close to the front there, Dave. He stands to gain the most by Schmidt being down on the ground and gaining no points in that first moto. Trampas can make a real run on the points lead.
As Parker holds on to that second spot for the moto. Now Parker's in trouble up to the left-hand side of your screen, and Evertson goes into second spot. Looked like Parker just kind of got stuck in the mud there for a moment.
Yeah, he was reaching for his goggles ring when we saw him, and it could be he's having a vision problem. A lot of mud being thrown back in the faces of these riders.
Bader Manet, a California hotshot who came up through the CMC ranks, has the lead for the moment. Look how treacherous the footing is out there. As he heads up the uphill, he's just a spinning and of digging. And Manet is one of those guys who has had kind of an inconsistency in American racing and set his sights on world competition.
A lot of injuries early in his career as a mini bike rider. He was a formidable challenger to all of the mini bike titles, but would you say he was always right on the edge? He was never quite there for the big time, so as many of the riders did, they went to Europe to seek their fortune.
Manet leads this race. Number 14, Jeff Stanton, got tangled in that first turn shuffle, has come back to 6th. Let's check with Art Ekman for the story of what Stanton did between motos to prepare for the rain.
The rainy weather changed the track conditions, and that kept the crews busy between motos. Honda team manager Dave Arnold, right behind me, said they changed 3 basic things on the bike for the second moto. 1, the tires. They put a more suitable tread down in these sticky, muddy conditions. They changed the radiators because machines tend to run a little hotter in the mud. Then they also made the bike more stable, stiffening the rear for Jeff Stanton for that stability. As far as rider philosophy, just try to stay out from a mud thrower right in front of you so you don't have to eat it. The crews have done their job. Now it's time for the riders to take over. Gentlemen?
Jeff Stanton, who started 10th in the first moto, is a little better off in the second leg. Bader Manet right now has got to be worried about Edwin Evertson, the Dutchman on the Kawasaki, who's got a pretty good line coming in here down on the low side of the racetrack. Draws even with Manet, and he'll have the best line into the next corner, makes the pass, takes the lead.
He's handled the mud much better than Bader Manet has. I would suspect at this point that he is going to pull away from Manet and leave Manet back there to fight for the likes of Travis Parker, the world champ, defending world champ from America, who's running in a number 3 spot. Stanton still continues to charge, and I'm wondering at this point if Stanton might not be the favorite in this sloppy mud. He's going to let it all hang out with nothing to lose. The other guys have to watch their P's and Q's, Dave.
There's a glimpse of Parker, and here comes Stanton running 4th as moto number 2 cranks up in the Dodge 250cc United States Grand Prix.
Autumn, a time when trees cast new colors. A time for sharing warmth. And at McDonald's, we're doing just that. Sharing the warmth of our new oven-baked apple pies. A cinnamon-dusted crust with golden, delicious apple filling. And now when you buy one, your local McDonald's donates 25 cents to Ronald McDonald Children's Charities, who bring warmth and hope to kids everywhere. Try our new baked apple pie. It's a delicious way to warm your heart.
Got stranded once. Never again.
Look, there's a reason more people go to Sears for a new battery than anywhere else.
Face another winter without a diehard? No way.
Only Sears has the diehard. In tests for cold cracking starting power, diehard performed 3 times better than industry standards.
Out here, if you don't have a diehard, you don't have a prayer.
You can count on me.
Sears diehard. More power when you need it most.
Drop everything. Dodge B250 Ram vans now come complete with everything you need for work or play. Like air, bigger tires and mirrors, power everything, and tons more. You'll get $1,000 cash back, up to $2,720 in package discounts, and save $3,720 in all during the National Dodge Truck Sale. Now arriving at a Dodge dealer near you.
We're back picking up the action with the 3rd place man. Bader Manet has lost the 2nd spot to the reigning world champion Travis Parker. Manet is now under heavy pressure from Jeff Stanton as we work our way through the 2nd of 3 championship races. Lap rider off to the top of your screen in the mud. Oh, and Manet almost hits him. Stanton seizes the moment and squirts by on the inside. Jeff Stanton has taken over 3rd. That will drop Manet to 4th, and the next man in Jeff Stanton's sight will be number 1, Travis Parker. The mud taking a toll here. It hung up that back marker for a moment, and he moved right over into the path of Bader Manet, dropping him another position. And I think you're right, Larry. I think Jeff Stanton in the mud is going to be a tough guy to beat, although this guy, Edwin Evertson, seems to be in pretty good control of the situation right now. We'll check the interval back to what is now the battle for 2nd spot, and suddenly it's a good one as Stanton moves to the rear wheel of number 1, the world champ. They're side by side on the Hondas, give the position to Stanton. He puts Parker away without a struggle.
And again, he did it on the outside. He was trying to stay out of Travis Parker's way. He wanted to make the pass, wanted to avoid all conflict. He did, an admirable job. He's just doing everything that he has to do out of this racetrack. 2 things that come to my mind. One, Stanton is an extremely strong mud rider, but the second thing, Dave, is when it comes to physical conditioning, I doubt if there's another motocrosser in the world that can top Jeff Stanton. I think he's the most physically fit, and in conditions like this, that has to be a telling factor.
He ran him down from 10th in the first race. He narrowly avoided a big tangle in the first turn here in the second race, and now the fans are cheering him on as he tries to become the first man ever to win 3 straight GPs on this racetrack. The rain has made this a sweatshop. It's hot, it's humid. Art Ekman has a report on how to stay cool out there.
It's not easy to see under their helmets, but a couple of the riders are wearing these items around their neck. It's not a bandana, it's not a sweatband. They're gel-filled ice packs that are keeping the riders cooler. The riders we talked to during practice say it works.
I guarantee you, Jeff Stanton is the Iceman under any conditions. He has set his sights here on Edwin Evertson, the leader, and I would go so far as to predict that we're about to see history repeat itself. Monique Berveau folded under the pressure in the first moto. Let's see if Evertson can do any better, but boy, Stanton's coming like a freight train.
Oh, he is. Evertson, you know, every once in a while, he just a slight turn of the head. He doesn't want to take his eyes off the track, and that's what happened to Berveau, as a matter of fact. He got nervous because he was looking at Stanton, and that's what Evertson needs to avoid. Ride the track, keep your eyes on what's happening in front of you. Don't worry about the guy behind you. If he can make the pass, let him make the pass, but hold your position and stay upright.
You see a bobble right there. That's an opening for Stanton. He pulls alongside, and all of a sudden, just like that, Evertson is the second-place man. A lap rider back there. In fact, I think that was Berveau off the racetrack watching that happen and saying, yeah, I know the feeling. And now the crowd waving their hats, waving their towels, waving the American flag, and cheering Jeff Stanton, who again has come from inside the pack to lead here at Unadilla. And quickly the advantage begins to grow. He'll have the option to win this by as much as he wants. And I don't see Trampas Parker attacking the racetrack. Number 1, Parker seems to be in a bit of a cruise control mode, perhaps not comfortable in the mud, perhaps it is mechanical, but the third-place man is definitely struggling a little bit. Here is number 18. That is Bader Manet, and he has come under a little pressure for 4th and 5th position now as the laps begin to wind down in this second race.
I think we need to go back and take a look at the points situation, Dave. Remember, Donnie Schmidt, the points leader, scored no points in moto number 1. Now, Parker, along with 3 other riders, Bobby Moore and Puzar, you know, they're in a bunch in that second-place position, and they have an opportunity to move up. And I think that's what's running through their mind. If Schmidt does not do well here, we're going to come out of this thing the victor. So they're going to just play it cool.
Michel Fanton of Italy is the 5th-place man, rider number 10, and he's up here putting some pressure on Bader Manet. That is 4th and 5th spot as they work their way through lap traffic. The number 71 machine is Gary Michael of Canada. He is a lap down, and Fanton, who nobody in this country has ever seen before, is the guy who's turning in a pretty fair ride. Number 14, Jeff Stanton, up front and winging it, and headed for another checkered flag here. He'll have 2 under his belt, assuming that he can keep that Honda upright and cruise to the checkered flag. And I think at this point, the only thing that can befall Stanton would be his own error, and for him to have a lapse of concentration at this point would be very uncharacteristic.
Oh, indeed. Stanton is on cruise control at this point. He knows he has the win in the bag. The crowd is cheering him on. He's playing to the crowd just a little bit. He's going to milk this one. He's going to coast in. He's on the last lap, a couple more corners, and he gets the checkers.
Among the American riders, Stanton has been dominant in this country of late, winning national championships, winning Supercross championships, and now another step closer to winning the USGP. We'll take a look at the rundown. Good ride here for Bader Manet, but qualify this with the fact that several of the top guns were involved in a first-turn crash, and Donnie Schmidt came back to finish 11th. Let's go to Bob Hanna with the race winner.
Jeff, not a very good start and some bad weather conditions. Obvious from the look on your face, you had to ride awful hard.
Yeah, no doubt. As you can tell, everybody's all messed up in the first turn, and I didn't get hit. I just had to stop because there's guys in front of me, and just kept picking it away once again and come up with that win.
3 motos today. You're not used to that. You should be able to assign some autographs now, and you've got to ride another one. Is that going to bum you out?
No, I'm in good enough physical condition. I'm not too worried about it. So just in good shape as anybody. They're going through as much pain as I am. I'll just make it hurt a little more.
Good luck in that next one. Hope you get a little better start.
Thanks.
Can Jeff Stanton sweep this USGP with 3 moto victories? A few thousand of these people would be willing to bet that he can. We'll be back to see if he can make it happen right after this.
This new fall collection for men is manufactured right in Frederick by Hearts & Company. Buy directly from us beside Frederick's Airport. Suits and sport coats, slacks, top coats, the same collection we're selling to exclusive department stores in America, but at incredible prices. Our showroom offers professional service, alterations, and has new evening hours Thursdays and Fridays. Hearts & Company, Frederick's famous menswear manufacturer.
This election year, the Iowa caucus was held in North Dakota, Jenny's Cafe. The California primary was held on a farm in New Jersey. And Bud Monroe hosted the Democratic National Convention at his barbershop. Wherever you live, your local cable companies bring in the most extensive election coverage in history to your town. So you'll be better prepared to vote for the next president, who will be sworn in January 20th at the home of Charles and Nellie Sparks.
Maybe I ought to make one of them cream pies, Nellie.
Wednesday night, it's a must-win situation for Todd Kid Foster when he faces his Olympic teammate Kelsey Mr. Mix Banks. The battle begins on Top Rank Boxing Wednesday night at 9 Eastern live on ESPN.
Coming up on SportsCenter, a live report from Atlanta and Game 6 of the World Series, where Toronto gets its second chance to clinch. Miami gets turned loose against Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame crosses paths with Brigham Young. SportsCenter, 6:30 Eastern.
Today's third moto will be an opportunity to see Donnie Schmidt in action. He injured his neck in practice today, missed the first moto, struggled in the second. The kid from Minnesota who grew up to be world champion. Art Ekman spent some time with him this morning.
Seems like a lot of people have hot streaks and then you're down for a while, and then you're up and then you're down, and I'm up right now. I'm on a bubble.
On a bubble he is. After a slow start, 6 moto wins in a row to take over the lead for the World Championship. And what a high it must be after being a promising youngster mixed up in a financial numbers game without a ride in his homeland. Europe became his professional savior.
You know, I've been racing professional for 6 years, and I did it 1 year all by myself. And that, I think, was the year. It was 1989. I was a privateer. That was the year that it was made me strong, I think, and made me pull through.
Racing in Europe meant adjustments to a totally new lifestyle.
And you have to be really open-minded about a lot of things, the language barrier and some of the foods and things like that.
Already winning a 125 world title, the 250 crown would mean new contracts, more money and glory, but most of all,
for me, it's my satisfaction and not thinking about money or anything. It's just myself. It's, you know, something in your life you look back at and see that #1 plate on your wall, and you know, you can tell your kids and grandkids about it.
With only 4 races left on the schedule and a 56-point lead, Donnie isn't that concerned about the short-term Americans competing here.
If they want to enter, that's fine. Let them run with us. As long as they just don't take somebody out, then, you know, keep their nose clean, stay in their line. They don't have to knock anyone out to win the race.
The trail to success for Donnie began only after a great deal of persistence.
My dad has a cabin up in Minnesota, and my brother and his friend had little mini bikes, and they kind of competed against each other year after year by getting a bigger bike and a bigger bike and a bigger bike. And then, you know, I started riding their old bikes, and it just grew from there. And finally I asked my dad if I could have a motocross bike, and he said no way, but I bugged and bugged for 2 more years and finally got my first bike and raced. I finished last just about every race.
Donnie told us it's a good feeling being back home. He would have preferred racing in the United States, but now they just couldn't pay him what he's clearing on the other side of the Atlantic. Dave and Larry, back to you.
Coming into this race, Donnie Schmidt maintains his world championship point lead. He has lost ground today, but had a big lead coming in. Ready for the third and final drop of the gate here at the 250 U.S. Grand Prix. They're underway. The black clouds continue to loom. The rain falling intermittently. Into the lead goes the former world champ Alessandro Buzar. The bad news for these cats is Jeff Stanton's got a great start. Took him 2 turns to get to the lead.
No dramatics in this one. I think Stanton said, you know, I've been running behind all day. I've been having mud flung in my face. I want no more. He went right. Color this one over, Dave. He's got to win unless something drastic happens and he ends up on the ground.
Oh, come on. Don't take all the excitement out of this. Maybe Buzar could beat him. Right. Bad chance. Alessandro Buzar, himself a former 125 and 250 world champ, #3, giving up a big gap early. The rest of the field hammering through the mud. We had another big shower right before the drop of the gate here. So once again, they'll be battling the slop and the slime out there. And Stanton wants to get away from that in a hurry and build up the cushion early. Jeff Stanton taking command here. trying to become the undisputed king of Unadilla with a third straight championship victory. Now, Donnie Schmidt has a good start. Schmidt has moved up to third spot. He is around his teammate and into third position. We'll be right back.
Start a project with Minwax Wood Finish and turn new into treasured, ordinary into extraordinary, even pine into cherry. Because Minwax Wood Finish makes it easy to turn any project into a beautiful masterpiece. Minwax makes wood beautiful.
Rough day?
The worst.
How so?
This guy calls up 6 times. Wants an investment. Innovative, yet reflective. Aggressive, but conservative. Oh, and get this, a mutual fund with years of solid performance. Not afraid to break the mold.
So what'd you tell him?
Hi, I'm Jerry McInnes, and it occurs to me that we all have the responsibility of taking care of our environment. Let's get together and work on it. You can make a world of difference.
We're back at Unadilla, the Dodge 250 United States Grand Prix. A two-man battle for second. They are teammates, and they have something else in common. In 1990, number 3, Alessandro Puzar, and number 75, Donnie Schmidt, each reigned as champion of the world. Schmidt in the 125 class, Puzar in 250. Now they are teammates, riding for Michele Rinaldi, the Italian, and they are in a pretty good struggle here, but ever further behind Jeff Stanton.
Well, I'll guarantee you this, Puzar is not about to move over and let Schmidt take over that number 1 position, even though Schmidt, his teammate, is leading the World Championship point standing. Puzar is in the number 2 spot. He's right behind Schmidt. Now, a good number of points back. I might throw that in. It's something like 40 or 50, but anything can happen in a moto, and Puzar's not about to throw away a couple of points by saying, go ahead, son, I'll let you by.
There you see the interval from Stanton. Whoa! Puzar got her sideways. Been watching American dirt track racing on ESPN. Said maybe I can do that too. He just about eye-sighted himself into the nickel seat. And so the Minnesota star, Donnie Schmidt, takes over the runner-up spot and has really finally emerged today with the opportunity to strut his stuff. He didn't get a chance to show it in the first moto. I think it's remarkable, as hard as he crashed and as badly as he appeared to be hurt today, that Schmidt's able to race at all.
We saw him lying on the ambulance. He's saying to the guy, you got to get me back here by 12:30. And in the background, you can hear this guy saying, no way, you ain't coming back here. Not only did he come back, he tried to get into the first moto. Of course, they kicked him out. Then he was involved in a crash in the second moto. It was on the opening lap, right in the first corner. Still worked all the way up to 11th, and now here he is running a strong second place behind Stanton. And I think that shows a lot of what Donnie Schmidt is made of. He's a determined young man.
There are also some reports circulating the pits about the drive from the hospital back to the racetrack. Word that perhaps Donnie Schmidt may have, on 1 or 2 occasions, actually exceeded the speed limit in his efforts to get back here and race today.
I find that hard to believe,
It's
Dave.
difficult for me to comprehend that he would do that, but Schmidt was determined to come back here and try to lock up some points, and he's riding very, very well. Obviously, the injury was a source of concern because it was his neck, but everything's working fine, and he's out there gassing it up and trying to catch Jeff Stanton, but I'm betting on the kid from Michigan in this one. Art Ekman has a report on what he says are some of the busiest guys out here today. Art?
To the untrained eye, all motorcycle tires look alike. But the busiest guys this year at Unadilla were those changing the rubber.
Because of the weather conditions prior to the event, normally we have a lot more rain coming into this event, plus the lack of practice yesterday. There's a lot more grass starting on the track at the start of the day, plus the promoter is watered very heavily, so the surface on top is really loose and very soft, and the slippery grass makes it feel extremely slippery to some of the guys. We start off with a pattern that's very open in the center, offers a real good bite into the loose, loamy surfaces, but as the track dries out and the sun beats on it all day long, we end up going to more of an intermediate pattern, which has a little less space between the rows, a little bit bigger block, and the whole idea is to put a little bit more rubber down on the hard, slippery rock surface, and that's where the guys can make up the most time.
All right, thank you very much, Art Ekman and Frank Stacy. American flags flying in the background. Jeff Stanton headed for a clean sweep at Unadilla. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.
Nothing beats a winning team. Pushing hard
Now's the time to drop into your Dodge truck dealer. He'll fix you up with the power of one of our Magnum engines. And to sweeten your deal, he'll add up to $1,500 cash back. Plus up to thousands more in package discounts on just about every truck in stock, even diesels and vans. It's the National Dodge Truck Sale, now arriving at a Dodge dealer near you.
Can anyone stop him? He clinched the World Championship. Now he's out to capture a 10th record-setting win at the Grand Prix of Japan. Nigel Mansell's the one to catch, Saturday at midnight Eastern on ESPN.
Speed World coverage of the 250cc United States Grand Prix Motocross has been brought to you by Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. The undisputed king of Unadilla, gotta be Jeff Stanton. He is a lap away from his third checkered flag of the day. A new format for World Championship racing with 3 short races. Stanton says he doesn't like it very much. I wonder if he'll change his tune.
Little known fact, 4 years ago, Jeff Stanton came here aboard a 125 just to see what this racetrack was all about. He whooped the field, killed some of the best 125 riders in the process. This guy loves and knows Unadilla.
And think of all the things that have happened since. He has become the undisputed king of Daytona, for example, in Supercross competition, has recently won his 3rd Supercross title here on ESPN, and is also a former 250 and 500 national champion. He's won everything there is to win in American motocross.
And now he's going to make a clean sweep out of Unadilla. The fans love it. Look at this. Yeah, I don't know if it's Jeff Stanton so much as it is the fact that he's an American and he has cleaned the clocks of the Europeans. Which do you think it might be?
Well, I don't know, but I wonder what Bob Hanna's going to ask him down there. Hanna used to be top dog at this place, but I'll tell you one thing. One truth in racing is that you're only as good as your last race.
Hanna's going to get his ball card or his trading card out and say, look here, Jeff, I don't race anymore, but look what I got.
Stanton cruising around, one finger aloft. He is clearly #1 here today. Behind him, Donnie Schmidt runs solidly in 2nd spot and will move a step closer to winning the World Championship here today. So it's been a great afternoon all around for the Americans. There is the final checkered flag. Let the celebration begin for the new king of Unadilla, Jeff Stanton. We'll go trackside to Bob Hurricane Hanna.
Jeff Stanton, new Supercross champ. You're riding a GP here with everybody in the world today. Doesn't look like you have a lot of competition out there.
Well, I mean, they were good. You can't knock them. They work as hard as anybody, but I had to do it the hard way a couple of motos, and that last moto was relatively easy. I just went out and got a good start and kind of cruised, but nothing like racing in the U.S.
Well, I don't know. Guys like Buzar and Everton might dispute that. They struggled a little bit today with the Americans. We'll run you on down through the top 10 from the 3rd leg, and then go back trackside to meet the world point leader, Donnie Schmidt.
Donnie Schmidt, one of the true great stories that come out of Unadilla this year, and what a wonderful, wonderful comeback, Donnie.
Yeah, it was all right. The track was really difficult today. I'm glad that nothing more serious was wrong with my neck. For precaution, I went in and got a check just to make sure. It's a smart thing. And came back, tried to regroup for the second race, and I didn't get a very good start spot, so I got sideways on the start, crashed once in the first corner and once after. And this race was good from start to finish. I followed Alex and waited for a mistake and made my move.
And so, with 3 races remaining, Donnie Schmidt is well on his way to the World Championship. Bobby Moore and Trampas Parker could very well finish inside the top 5 in the final world standings. And with that, a final thought from Larry Myers.
Well, no major surprise here at Unadilla, Dave. The European riders, I think, still have a way to go to catch the Americans. Jeff Stanton was totally dominant, and I think that's what motocross is about today.
He was the class of the field here today as Dodge brings you the 250cc United States Grand Prix. It's been fun covering it along with Bob Hurricane Hanna, Art Ekman, and Larry Myers. I'm Dave Despang. So long, everyone.